I don't know, but I certainly believe this. I believe the legislature ought to adopt a constitutional amendment giving to 18-year-olds a right to vote. The people of Alabama would ultimately, of course, have to pass on the question. But there's several compelling reasons for this, and without getting into the merits, one way or the other. Outset that this will be our my last regularly scheduled press conference, and I don't anticipate anything that would bring about a special one before I leave office. And in that connection, I want to express appreciation to each of you and to all who have covered the Capitol during my tenure in office for your acceptance and your participation in the weekly press conference. This is very difficult, probably from the standpoint of something that needed to be done, that we faced tremendous odds in getting accomplished. And from the standpoint of the volume of work and time and effort involved. Our educational session in 1969 with the program and the legislation that resulted from it, and particularly some of the new ideas that came out of that session, such as the election of the state board and the appointment by the elected state board of the state superintendent to relieve the state superintendent from the pressures of being in elected political office. The changing of the allocation of funds from the minimum program fund to a per capita or per student basis, so that the old discriminatory allocations based on a formula that seemed to favor students in certain systems over others is no longer a bone of contention in the legislature nor with the public. I think this was a remarkable facet and surprisingly easy to achieve. The most outstanding probably is the local effort legislation. Every session of the legislature meets increased demands and requests from public education for additional state revenues. The well at the state level sooner or later has to run dry. And the local effort legislation recognized that our local subdivisions in the state had a responsibility themselves, or have a responsibility themselves, to provide for support for public education in the respective counties. And the idea of setting up a formula basis so that the requirements are based on per capita income, and each then pays within his own ability to pay, plus the giving of authority by the legislature to the counties to raise these funds required under the local effort bill, to me was probably the most far-reaching and has the greatest long-range effect insofar as public education is concerned. Now, from the standpoint of government, and I'm interested in political science, and I want to, and I would like very much to be able to appoint whomever the new elected state board intends to select. I do not think that they have reached that point in their thinking where they have one person in mind at this time. So I don't think that plan will work. It's a question now of appointing someone for the interim, and I probably will make that appointment. I have intentionally delayed until after the new board had had a chance to confer, and I understand that they did not reach any definite conclusion just today, so I'll have to proceed on my own. I would hope not later than tomorrow. Usually when I say that, it's 2 weeks. In this case, if it is, it'll be moot. This several months ago, as a matter of fact. I'm not certain how much will be needed. We had to scrape together some funds, in fact, to finish out last year. We were a relatively small amount of money short during the last fiscal year. The appropriation for the current fiscal year, at the time it was made by the legislature, was thought to be sufficient. There have been many eligible persons added since that time during the just slightly over 1 year now of our Medicaid program. every public assistance recipient in Alabama is eligible for Medicaid. It now appears that there'll be a shortage during this fiscal year of some $5 million in state funds. Now, at the same time, we're going to have a surplus in the general fund this year of, I think conservatively, $10 million. So the legislature can simply make a supplemental appropriation to Medicaid and still have a handsome surplus at the end of this fiscal year. It can be done without any new taxes, without doing violence at all. If the legislature had made an open-end appropriation to Medicaid in its 1969 session, then the supplemental wouldn't even be necessary. Oh, that's so conjectural, I don't know. Well, he's like me. He's defeated, and I know as a defeated governor, I would presume to advise other governors what to do. I don't think he should. The state of our law is such, and there's so many steps between a final conviction and sentence to death until the actual execution takes place, that to just go in and in one fell swoop grant executive clemency to all of those who might be under sentence of death would seem to me to be infringing upon the judicial process. Some of the cases are on appeal now to the Supreme Court. As a result of those appeals, some of the defendants will ultimately be acquitted. Others of the cases are on appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court and involve constitutional questions. Others have pending at this time requests for executive clemency, or they're sort of in abeyance while some other court decisions are being determined. But not all of the cases are in the same posture, and so I don't think you can deal with all of them on the same basis. I rather that is the Highway Department and the Finance Department, because the low bid did not meet specifications, and then the ultimate award for them. Now, let me mention this. Every administration has a continuing program of purchasing equipment. At the first of every year, our department, our Highway Department, asks the division engineers around the state for equipment needs for the coming year. This equipment is then programmed for purchase. Last year, we purchased we had one big batch of equipment to buy, I say last year, in 1969. A question arose as to whether to do it at one time or to spread it out. We decided to spread it, hoping we'd get better bids, and we did. Over a 3-month period of time, we bought parts of the equipment. And each time we got better bids on the same or similar equipment than we got the month before. It worked that way. This year we didn't do any purchasing to speak of before the election because of the possibility of political pressure being involved during a campaign on purchases. And so after the election then we had to accelerate purchasing in order to have the department in shape. Now, it'd suit me fine to wait and let the next administration buy it all. But it takes about 3 months from the time equipment's requisitioned until it's actually in hand. The department needs some of this equipment right now. By March, they'll need all of the equipment. There's some right-of-way work and clearing that's going on right now, and will go on through the winter months when the weather permits. If the next administration has to wait, a new highway director probably cannot requisition equipment before mid-February at the earliest. By the time bids were taken, purchase